To be honest, I thought West Japan would be pretty quiet, but it turned out to be full of amazing places. We spent 7 days traveling from Kobe to Tottori, and somewhere along the way, I started sketching. Cafes, sceneries, fun little moments. It has slowly turned into this collection of unforgettable visual diary. While we were walking around in the concrete jungle that is Kobe city center, the street corner garden just popped out of nowhere. This picture frame design caught my eye because it's so colorful and organic, it screamed for me to slow down and sketch it. It sucks that I didn't have time to stop and sketch, and it looks like Mimi is just as rushed as I was. We're always moving at full speed in our lives. We gotta learn to switch gears sometimes and just slow down a bit. Although this is just a little detail and nothing compared to other major attractions, but I just wanted to use it as the start of the visual diary as a reminder for us to slow down. You can see the flower is still holding the picture that she took with Mimi, with Mimi's ear in there, but poor flower is being ignored by all the people walking by. And where is Mimi, you'll ask? She's actually running off to this side, to another place I'm gonna talk about later in the video. I purposely picked this hotel because their breakfast is on the 29th floor. Well, you can see why, right? We're so lucky to get such beautiful weather on that day, so I had to put this on the paper. There's so much in the cityscape, it's hard to decide what to focus on. So this is a sketch. It was really rough, so once I got home, I painted this one from a different angle. One thing I really noticed is this bowling pin. It was so interesting later on in the day. We were walking around in the city and we saw it from down below from a different perspective. And it looks like Mimi is just as captivated as I was. I guess in her sketchbook, I would be one of these dots walking around. In this large visual diary, I flipped this around so that Mimi can sit on the top of the building and see all those interesting places and draw them in her sketchbook. This beautiful cafe is actually a Blue Bottle Cafe, which is a pretty big chain in Japan. We got lucky and grabbed amazing seats in the corner and away from all other customers, but with a great view of the whole cafe. I mean, this is a perfect spot for me to do some sketching because I'm kind of nervous to sketch in public. So here I can take in all the vibe and the views without being worried about being seen by anyone. Charles may have gone overboard here by squishing his legs under such a small table, but this is actually what inspired by what my husband did in the cafe. He was sitting all proper, squeezing both of his legs under the table. When I was asking him to move, he couldn't. Well, I guess it's kind of weird. This is the thing stuck in my head from such a pretty place. A few days later, when we passed by the same place, it was jam-packed, just as lively as it is here, with my favorite Yam characters appreciating the cherry blossom, because they had a really nice bouquet of flower in the middle of the table in the cafe, so I just put them as trees here. And also the rubber duckies. Why rubber duckies? Because we have been hunting for a small rubber ducky for our bath, and we finally found one from a gashapon place. They're so cute, but unfortunately they don't float very evenly. And I have Mimi sketching here on a bottle, and this chicken carrying the egg is a hint for another place we're gonna go later in the trip. Before we left Kobe, we stopped by this small park just off of the highway, and it's a must visit if you want to take in the local vibes. It's such a great place to hang out and just look at the shimmering sea. Although the main attraction here should be the 4-kilometer long bridge. I discovered something amazing as I stare at the sea for a bit. I always thought manga and anime use stars as a stylized way to show reflections, but it's actually realistic. I was seeing those with my naked eyes. This might seem trivial to you, but makes me so excited. Just learning this alone made this visit to this park worth it. So I put all the elements I love in this strip here, and I put Mimi here, staring at the sea with all the star-shaped reflections. We saw a donut-shaped sculpture. Well, I don't think it's supposed to be a donut, but it looks like a donut to me. And this is the pigeon we saw. There were people fishing. It was very peaceful. Looks like this guy got something, but we'll find out later. Over here, Mimi saw another bird and trying to approach it. The flowers and plants were really well kept in that small park, so I just want to keep it in my visual diary. Oh, and there was actually a guy walking on the bridge on that, I don't know, railing, super high up in the sky. It doesn't seem to have any safety net or anything. It looks pretty intense. Now that was everything about Kobe, and we'll come through this bridge and go to an interesting island. This is a really out-of-the-way egg farm that has a very special pudding. Instead of a regular container or a glass jar, it is inside an actual egg. How the hell do they do that? I'm gonna guess this is how they did it. Unfortunately, we never found out what it tastes like because we left it in the hotel fridge. I guess it's just giving me another excuse to come back to this farm in the future. The egg farm was our main attraction on this little island, so I drew it pretty big. They not only sell their famous egg pudding, but also fresh eggs. I made a TKG when I went back to the hotel and it was so good. I loved it. They also have a vending machine here and they sell their famous pudding. I added the patio from my imagination, but they did really have a goat right beside the store. Weird. There was a chicken house across from the store, but there was no chicken at the time because I guess it's too cold. These are some weird creatures I saw in the roadside station. We'll go there next. This is a big rest area off of the highway with the usual local fresh produce and food products. There's actually a mascot for this building representing the local attraction, a big whirlpool. You can actually take boat rides to see up close. They really know how to market an attraction, not just because of the mascot, but there's a free stamp rally spread out all over the building to make sure you hit all the major areas. The prize for completing the stamp rally is a pretty stamp. Not a ride on the swirl like Mimi. Lucky. So in my big visual diary, I put the swirl running towards Mimi, getting super excited and creating even more waves. And these little guys are onions. They're supposedly really famous for Awaji Island. And this is supposedly the bridge from Awaji Island to Takamasu. And I think on the bridge you can see the swirls, but of course the real bridge is much bigger. I also drew a bunch of koi getting hit by the boat or escaping the swirl. They're actually not from this area, but the next area. Or they could be like escaping from this area to the next. This massive and stunning park is rated 3-star by Michelin, and I can definitely see why. I wasn't a fan of outdoors when I was a kid, being afraid of bugs and stuff, but this garden really showed me how beautiful and serene it can be. Hopefully you can feel a bit of the tranquility that I felt. It sucks that we got to the park quite late, just an hour before closing, so we had to rush a bit and only hit the south side of the park. We did have a tiny bit of time left to peek at the north side, unlike Mimi, who just completely forgot. I'm sure she's just overwhelmed by what she saw. I would definitely come back and give the park the time it deserves, and of course, bring my sketchbook. I only have this corner, so I can only show a glimpse of what I saw. I definitely wanted to include this majestic tree. It was huge! And the colorful kois. There were so many of them. I guess they escaped from here. Some ducks got mixed in, and we saw this bird. It was probably hunting for food. It was just so serene, I had to include her here. And this little swirl escaped to join Mimi and Charles. So after we finished the south side, we came over here to take a peek and left. They had a lot of cherry trees, but they didn't blossom, I guess because it was too cold, but I'm sure it will be really pretty. This pretty street and buildings really give off the perfect retro vibe. It was a good experience to just casually stroll through the nooks and crannies. The shopping was a bit disappointing for us though. We were only able to find something at Momotaro and Japan Blue, which are bigger brands that have stores in Tokyo as well. At least Mimi and Charles seems to have more fun. Well, at least Charles did. So this is where the clothing line is, and I really like how they were able to incorporate all sorts of jean elements on this street. So many details to look at, and they even have a soft serve in jeans color. It looks pretty, but too bad we couldn't have it because it was really cold that day. This big peach is inspired by Momotaro, and I really like to put my yam character here and there. It's a nice pop of color, and I think it'll be fun to spot them once I complete the whole thing. This is the main attraction of Tottori, at least for us. We've been binge watching the anime and we're only at 700-ish episodes. Are any of you Conan fans? This Aoyama Gosho Museum has a bunch of interactive games and displays, but what I loved the most were the original drawings. Too bad we weren't allowed to film. But the town was very peaceful, with lots of Conan touches like Conan Bridge, Kuro's house, and tons of statues scattered around the town. We didn't want to walk around in the cold, so we didn't hit all of them, but we definitely will have to come back. There's going to be a new museum opening in 2027. I'm so excited. One thing I wish the museum had though would be a voice-changing bow tie game. Oh well, maybe it'll be in the new one. For now, we'll just let Mimi cosplay as Conan and confuse poor Charles. We only saw the museum from the side, so this is my imagination of what the museum looked like from the top. I really like the logo, so I put it on the roof. This side of the museum is where the exhibitions are, interactive games and things like that. This side is a gift shop. What we got is a set of Uno. A little secret is that I don't know how to play Uno. I never played it before, so I bought this set to learn. A bit disappointing though, because all the characters are just a straight-on shot and they repeat for each color. I wish they have wackier stuff. It'll be cool to have some famous scene from either the anime or the manga. Pear Museum. How much is there to talk about for pears? A lot, apparently. This hidden gem of a spot has fantastically curated and researched info. From varieties, farming, taste. Oh, the taste. The admission price gives you a tasting of 3 types of pear, and each one wowed me in their different ways. Beautiful aroma, sweetness, and refined textures. All 3 varieties weren't fibrous like the usual Asian pear you can get from grocery stores, and had a beautifully clean finish. I'm sure if we had more time to spend there and learn all that we could from the exhibits, we could probably become pear farmers, just like Mimi. So now we're connected to where it all started. Mimi ran off to this big pear to get pearified, and then she's over here. And this pose was inspired by a farmer that we saw when we were driving around in the countryside. It was a sunny day. He was standing at a high point, looking over his field really proudly, hands on his waist. It just makes me think that Japanese fruits and vegetables are so good because all those work those farmers put in. They're so dedicated and they take immense pride of what they do. So I just really want to capture it with Mimi here. I think this is the top surprise of the trip, in a good way, of course. The strawberries here are the best I've ever had in my life. Some varieties have strong floral notes, some have a smooth and juicy texture, just like a peach. All were really sweet. I'm not sure if I'm ready to turn into a strawberry though. I found this farm randomly on Google Maps. It costs 2,600 yen per person for 40 minutes of all you can eat. What a lucky find. I ended up having 30 strawberries when Gary thought I would only be able to eat like 10. That's how good it was. Their strawberry plants are grown in the raised planter, so you don't have to squat when you pick them. And they have little signs for each section of the plants to tell you what type of strawberry they are. And you can look it up to see what are the flavors for those strawberries. And they also give you a little container when you get in, so you can put the stems in there, and you can also buy chocolate sauce or condensed milk to dip the strawberry. But like, come on, you don't need that when the strawberries are this caliber. I added this yam here just for fun, being super full and flopped on the ground. I felt like that, to be honest. I don't know what to say. This place is just spectacular. The highlight is the garden. Every tree, shrub, even the sand is placed and pruned intentionally. It all comes together into art, and that's alive. So that's why it's called a museum and not a garden. Preserving these gardens throughout the seasons must take a crazy amount of effort. Truly works of art. The museum also has multiple rooms of Japanese art and pottery, but we weren't allowed to take photos there. I don't know what glass they used, but it's almost invisible, which is great for looking at the artwork, but dangerous if you lean too close. I actually did what Mimi did and realized later that it must happen a lot since there are dedicated staff walking around cleaning the dirty spots on the glass. So we're coming to the end of the trip. This is the last corner of the paper, and the actual garden was way more impressive than what I can fit in this small area. There is no weird dog or mischievous yen peeking out, of course. What I found most interesting of this museum is that they have this building placed inside the garden. So by following the path, you get to see different views of the garden from the live picture frames. It got me stay curious all the time because I would be wondering what kind of different view would I be able to see from this next window? And I was never disappointed. If you're still here, I have some Easter eggs to share with you. These are the stuff I haven't talked about yet, but fun stuff or interesting stores or stuff we bought on the trip. When we were in Kobe, we went to this shop called Clueto. It sells Japanese canvas bags. They use high quality fabric and it's supposed to be light and waterproof. My mom found one she really likes, so I drew a little character running off with a canvas bag. What I found here was this coin purse. I forgot my coin purse on this trip, but Japan used a lot of coins, so I was like, maybe I'll just get a cheap one to tie me over. But when I saw this one, I'm like, the design is so cute, I had to get it. It's leather and there's a hole with the anchor coming out, but inside there's also a ring you can connect your keys to, so it can also be a key purse. I don't remember how I found this hotel, but I guess it's probably because of the view. The hotel itself is not very tall, 10 floors or so, but it sits on a little hill, so on every floor they have a panoramic view window that you can oversee the Seto inland sea. It was so breathtaking. And the breakfast is on the highest floor, and you can see both the mountainside and also the seaside. Breakfast itself is nothing too special though, but the view is totally worth it. Very close to the hotel, there's a Kaiten sushi called Izutsuya. I just wanted to find somewhere that's quick and have sushi, so this is a place I found with decent rating. It felt really local because all the menus were in Japanese and they have the handwritten menu like daily specials on the wall, so we were trying to guess by reading the kanji and using Google Translator. Most of the pieces were really delicious, and what I loved the most was the fatty tuna. I think it was like 400 yen or 450 yen for 2 gigantic pieces. You can never get that anywhere else. This is like the best value we've ever had. The overall quality is not as good as, for example, the Toriton in Hokkaido or the other one that I'm gonna talk about, but it's still really good if you're in that area and it's super convenient. This little shrine is so tucked away in a peaceful hill. We actually didn't plan to come here, but when we were walking towards the shopping street, we saw a little sign and a set of pretty stairs with nice views and trees. So we're like, okay, let's just go up and take a look. But we end up taking tons and tons of stairs and making a lot of turns with no shrine in sight. And finally we got up there, and when we were leaving, we saw there's another set of stairs that connects us directly into the shopping street. That's why I put this yen here, is like looking at those two idiots. Why are you going up this way? This one is pretty smart. It came up directly from here. And something amazing happened here. Gary and I wished for the same thing. And then when we went to pick these little birds that tells your fortune, we got exactly the same one. The words inside are exactly the same. What are the odds? Maybe my wish is gonna come true. So when we're walking on the shopping street in Kurashiki, and there's this glass pen shop. The staff is really nice and he speaks English well. He allowed me to test the pen there. So I drew Mimi trying out the pen on a piece of paper. And to my surprise, it was so smooth and I immediately wanted to get one. So this is the pen I got. The design is called Moon or Moonlight. It looks blue when it's on the black paper and it looks yellow on the white piece of paper. So here I drew Mimi super happy with this shiny new glass pen. Whenever we go to a new area in Japan, I always like to find a good local sushi conveyor belt restaurant. And this is what I found for Tottori area. It's called Kaiten Sushi Hokkaido. Why is it called Hokkaido when they're in Tottori? Every piece was so flavorful, so fresh, tastes so good, and great value. It's almost comparable to what we had in Hokkaido, called Toriton, was so good. It's still our favorite right now. This is about 80 to 90% of that quality, maybe 80%, but it's so much better than the typical conveyor belt sushi restaurant in Tokyo. It costs a little bit more, but you get way better quality. I would definitely go again next time I visit in this area. This is such a weird thing to draw here, but it does have a story. So when we were in Kobe, we passed by an Excelsior cafe and wanted to get a cremia ice cream, which we got in the past as an ice cream float. Too bad that they only have it in a cone, so we asked them to put it in a cup instead. And after some confusion, this is what they gave us. We asked for ice cream in a cup.
They gave me a cone.
This is what we got. The ice cream was good though. It's such a little trivial thing, but I'll never forget about this ice cream incident. And of course, this whole trip. I hope this brings back some fond memories for you if you have been to these places before, or encouraged you to visit new places that's always on your mind. I made it into this large print and cute postcard size mini prints. If you're interested, you can grab some from my website. Link is in the description. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!